Keir Starmer, I grew up on a farm. I used to pick stones out of a field. You know, my whole family live in the countryside. I'm the only one that lives in the city. This is the kind of rubbish that they come out with, trying to do the best for Britain. Hardly any farms will be affected. Well, if that's the case, then why are you doing it? Let's have a look at what Jeremy Clarkson had to say yesterday.
But I do want to finish, if I may, with a message to the government. I do. Not a shouty one, it's this. For the sake of everybody here, and for all the farmers who are stuck at home today, paralysed by a fog of despair over what's been foisted upon them, I beg of the government to be big, to accept that this was rushed through, it wasn't thought out, and it's a mistake. That's the big thing to do, admit it, and back down.
Let's talk to Tom Collins now, who's a farmer in Wiltshire. Tom, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
What's the mood after the demonstration yesterday, Tom? I don't know if you were there, but Jeremy Clarkson saying, look, just back down. You don't have to do it. There's no real rationale for doing it. There's no real money to be raised by doing it. You just seem to be antagonising an awful lot of people who will possibly be able to get around the new rules anyway.
Exactly that. Well, the mood's pretty buoyant. I think we had a quite successful rally, and hopefully we've got our message across that the family farm, the people in the middle, the real food producers in this country, are going to be hit the hardest. Yeah. The people with the pony paddocks at the bottom are going to get away with it, and the big firms and the multimillionaires who own these, huge farms are going to be able to wiggle out of the tax. But the middlemen, the actual core family farms, are going to be hit the hardest.
Yeah, and that seems to be the reason why people are so upset by this government, and yet they keep quoting numbers at me every single time anybody speaks to them. It's only a very small number, only about 500 farms are going to be affected. People are telling me, and Jeremy Clarkson is one of them, that they've got their numbers completely wrong, that they've somehow calculated it incorrectly.
Well, the thousands of people at London yesterday will tell you they got the numbers wrong.
Yeah.
They've taken into account tiny little farms in their numbers, which has skewed the details. And those farms aren't the food producing farms. Right. We are in the middle. The 300-400 acre family farms, 500 family farms that are the core and the backbone of our food security and our food production, and also centres of many village communities are going to be hit the hardest. And It's a real shame. The policy seems to be rushed through, ill thought. Labour really just need to say we've made a mistake here. We're fine that they've gone after what they've gone after, that the inheritance tax loopholes for the very wealthy, but they've gone about it in the wrong way. And we wish they would sit down and come up with a much better thought-out idea than the one at the moment, which is a blanket approach to everybody. Yeah,
but that seems to be their way, doesn't it? Because they've done that with pensioners, they've done it with the winter fuel allowance. It now turns out that 100,000 pensioners have gone into fuel poverty. Gas prices have just gone up again. Inflation's just going up again. That's going to cost your business more money. National insurance is going to cost your business more money. They seem to be making these kind of blanket announcements without any real thought for the consequences. And yet everything happens to be feeding into the support of the NHS. They said yesterday again, we need to support the NHS. This is why farmers need to pay up. Well, the farming dividend, if you want to call it that, would only last a day in the NHS.
Yeah, exactly that. So we've only got 4 years to wait. So maybe in 4 years' time we'll have a different government in power. I mean, they seem to have hammered the pensioners, hammered the farmers. Pensioners have worked all their lives and paid into their pensions, and now they're getting hammered at the end. And now they're hammering the farmers. It just seems like a really weird tactic to take as running a government.
I mean, if this doesn't lead to any kind of conversation with the government, are you prepared to continue to demonstrate and perhaps demonstrate more locally, visit London regularly with tractors? What's going to be the plan?
Well, what did Churchill say? That this is not the end of the beginning, the beginning of the end, but the end of the beginning?
Yeah.
I think is his famous phrase. Well, I think that could be the way. And we're prepared as farmers this is going to take a long time to get our message across to the government that actually you've made a mistake here, and we're aware that this is just the first move.
Yeah.
We've come to London, we've demonstrated, we've shown that thousands of family farms are going to be affected by this tax, and that means food production and food security in our nation is going to be affected by this tax. And we're prepared for the long haul of demonstrating again and again to try and get our message across to the government. And we wish they would come and talk to us and reason with us and say, look, actually, we've made a mistake here. Here are some suggestions that we can change this tax to to get the people that they want to get, if that's a phrase to be said.
Yeah. Yeah, because it does seem as though they've made a lot of mistakes in the first 3-4 months of their governance, and at some point or other there will be a breaking point, and maybe this is it. I mean, a lot of people think that this is going to be the Labour Party's poll tax problem.
Well, to go after pensioners and then to go after farmers seems a really strange way to start a government. But I mean, I'm no expert. I'm a farmer from Wiltshire, but it just seems a really peculiar. I mean, are they going to go after school children next?
Right.
I mean, are they going to cut?
Well, they've already done that. No, sorry, they've already gone after the school children. They've already said if you want to have aspiration for your children and you want to save up enough money and get a second job and put your child into a private school because your local state school's bloody useless, they're coming for you as well.
Well, there we are. Absolutely correct then. I mean, who's next? You tell me. It's a peculiar way to start off.
It really is. Absolutely. And how's the farm business this winter looking? Because we hear from people around the business that, obviously there's problems in Spain, there's problems with weather-related, crops being damaged over there because of all the floods. I mean, what's the prognosis for winter? Because some people have said there might be food shortages, there might be problems with the supply chain.
Well, we've had a terrible harvest and a terrible autumn. It's rained pretty much all of October, September and October, which is our key planting window for our crops. Most farmers have now got their crops in the ground, but of course they're going to be late and the yields aren't going to be as good, and we're going to have another poor harvest. I think our national harvest is normally about 14 million tonnes. Well, last year we were down below 10. I think it was 9.5 or nearly 10 million tonnes. That, in fact, spare grain has to be found. We have to feed our population. And again, we're going to have another bad winter, and we had a bad couple of years farming, and this really is a sort of kick in the teeth. When they're down, we'll kick them. It's not easy. It's not easy at the moment. It's not easy to pay the bills. Like, I get my spray bills come through, and they're thousands and thousands of pounds, and I think, golly, how am I going to afford this bill? But somehow we managed to. But it's really I lose sleep at night sometimes worrying about all the bills and everything. It's not a good time to be a farmer.
No, I'm sure. Well, we wish you the best, Tom. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Tom Collins, a farmer in Wiltshire, who says it's a massive struggle. They've had a bad couple of years. They're not having a great year this year. And this inheritance tax nonsense is just piling more and more pressure. And we already know that many farmers have taken their own lives as a result. It's a terrible situation for this government to be pressing onto people.